We will now have Marco Lampis, who will talk about Ansible and automation and how this is important for someone that develops code. The stage is yours. Just wait the 10 seconds, and then you can start. Thank you.
Okay, here we go. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for coming to this session. Today we are going to talk about Ansible. But before diving deep on what Ansible is and why should you use it, I would like to ask you, how many coffees did you waste the last time that you were trying to configure your dev environment? I mean, we are software developers, right? So we take coffee and we transform coffee in code. So that's our measurement. We are going to measure how many coffees we are going to waste. So, well, you know better than me. What does it take when you have to configure your environment? Well, for sure, you will install your tools, Git, VM, everything that you could need, Docker, the configuration, and everything. For sure, the shell, I mean, you're going to swap from bash to ZSH. You're going to use all my ZSH or any configuration that you prefer. And yeah, you're going to take some breaks because, I mean, we are developers, we like coffee, and you got it. We are going to waste a lot of time. Then, for that reason, we are going to see how Ansible can change this paradigm. How can we pass from a traditional way when we spend a lot of hours trying to set up the whole environment manually, which is boring, not repeatable, and hard, because, I mean, you're going to do a lot of mistakes for sure, me too, and, well, you're going to wait. Instead, we can run one simple command, Ansible playbook, for example, and it just works. You can drink your coffee and feel it at home. So let's see, what's Ansible? Why should you use that? Well, Ansible is a tool developed from 2012 from Red Hat, and it's a tool that lets you automatize the configuration of your environment, of your system, of your multiple devices that you are going to use. The main features, we can say, is that it's minimal, since it's used SSH and Python as dependencies. It's consistent, so you can describe the end state that you are trying to reach and simply reach that using the difference between the actual state and the end state that you are aiming to. It's safe, since it's based on the latest OpenSSH standards and protocols, and for sure it's reliable. And I would say that it's really important that it's reliable, since it allows you to define, as I was mentioning before, then stating that you want to reach and applying only the difference between now and that state. So if you already are in the end state, you are not going to do any changes. And I think that is pretty cool. Which are the use cases of why you should use Ansible? Well, the first one, as I was mentioning, which is, I would say, the core topic of today, is the configuration management. So, for example, handling the .files of your configuration. But we can consider that also in some production stages. For example, for application deployments, if you have to deploy easily database, configure cloud infrastructure, and everything else. Or the infrastructure automation, which let you set up the servers, the networks, and everything that could be helpful for you. But then someone could ask, but why should I use Ansible? I mean, I know Bash, I know to develop, so why? I mean, it's simple. And yeah, I agree, it's simple, but there are a lot of reasons of why you shouldn't use Bash. I mean, first of all, you are developers, and we hate Bash. It's not possible that in 2024 we still have issues if you put multiple spaces in your script. I mean, it's not possible. You can't run it. The second reason is that Ansible, out of the box, works on multiple distros. So, for example, Fedora, Debian, Arch, whatever you want, and is easy to configure using YAML files, so plain text, to define what you are trying to reach and which configuration you want for each of them. So, for example, you can install some specific package on Debian that you may don't want to have on Fedora, for example. Another cool feature is that it works on multiple machines at the same time. So you can write once the configuration, as I was mentioning before, and deploy it on multiple machines, starting from a control node where the configuration relies. And the third one, well, you all want to be lazy. I mean, what do I mean with lazy? For sure, you all want to let Ansible automatize your work, right? as someone would say, if you choose a lazy person to do an hard job, for sure he's gonna do a good work. Why? Because he will find an easy way to solve the problem. And I think that this folk on this is right, at least on this. So let's try to jump on Ansible to try to understand how can we use it and why it is helpful. Well, the first thing for sure, we want to install it. So since it relies on Python, as I was saying, we can simply use pip and run pip install Ansible, and voila, some magic under the hood, and we have Ansible on our machine. Then we're gonna write a script, something that defines which configuration do we want. And for this, it helps us the playbook. A playbook is literally a recipe in YAML that you can define to describe the instructions to reach your end state. So it is composed by the hosts, so which machines you want to configure, the tasks, which is the list of the instructions that you want to reach, and some variables because, well, yeah, we are programmers, so we're gonna put some variables around to define, maybe in a dot file, which kind of package we want to install, for example. We can see here a simple example. So we can define the name, the host where we want to run the configuration, in this case, localhost, because we want it only on this machine, for example. We have this become true, which means that we are gonna allow the root access to our Ansible, a list of packages, and then the tasks starts. For example, we are specifying that we want Ubuntu for updating the package cache. We want to install some packages and copy the VMRC from our backup, for example, to the actual usage. And for sure, we remove Emacs. I mean, we are using Vim. Why should I need Emacs? And then we are showing a simple message to our developer. You can see here a little demo on how it works. We just run a command, and everything is shown on what changed and what not. So in this case, for example, we weren't in the end state, I would say. So everything changed, but it can happen that something is green, saying not changed, and is perfectly fine. That said, we are developers, I was saying, and we like modularity. I mean, I can't come here and tell you, yeah, you can write this very long script on a playbook and use it. We like modularity, so we're gonna split our playbook on multiple configurations and use that. In some cases, maybe you want some packages on a machine, some configuration in another machine, and in this way, it's made really easy. But as a developer, I don't like to reinvent the wheel. And for that reason, there is also Ansible Galaxy. And you can think about Ansible Galaxy as the pip repository for Ansible. So it's a Git repository where you have every role that it was already developed by other developers around the globe and directly use it. For example, some that are really famous are Brew for automatically installed packages for macOS. macOS itself, because, I mean, I don't know how many of you has a MacBook, but as a developer, I had a lot of problems at the beginning because there is auto-completion, some correction automatically done by Apple that I don't like on the phrases. And in this way, we can define, okay, everything should work in this way, and it's way easier. At the same time, we have some package managers like npm, pip, and just works. So let's see a really simple use case. One of them is handling the dot files of your local configuration. And how would it work? Well, it's pretty easy. We can define it in 3 steps. I would say that the first one is writing what we want to have as a configuration, so the list of packages, the config files, the vimrc, because we use Vim, the zsh, and everything that could be helpful. Execute the command that I was showing before. In this way, you are specifying which host you want in that specific end state, which could be, as I was saying, multiple machines, and git and repeat. So everything is ready. You have a backup because we don't like to lose stuff out of the blue. And what happens if next time you want to reapply, maybe in another machine, the configuration that you have developed? Well, it's easy. You just update the configuration file, run the command, and we're there. It's finished. So it's pretty simple, and I would like to discuss for a few seconds what's the moral behind it, because we discovered today how can Ansible saves the time in the long run, for sure you're going to waste 30 minutes the first time trying to define which packages you're going to use and which not, but for sure next time it's going to be easier. You are going to make fewer mistakes because we all make mistakes, so if at least we have some of them written somewhere, it's easier to find them and to fix them. But most of all, we have a reusable solution. So for example, myself now, I have a virtual private server that I'm trying to migrate from an instance to another one. And it's crazy because I didn't use Ansible. And I'm losing a lot of time trying to make it repeatable. And it's hard. But next time, at least, it's going to be really, really fast because it's everything there. I've already tried, so it's pretty useful. But let's try to be honest. This is not the real reason why we would use Ansible. I mean, yeah, all of this is useful, but the most important thing is that we have more time for the coffee, right? Thank you. If I can have 1 second, the slides, 1 second more. Okay, thank you. So, thank you everyone. I'm Marco Lampis. This year I worked in Amazon as a software developer engineer intern. I'm still studying software engineering at the Polytechnic of Turin. And if you have any feedback about this talk, the topic, or you just want to hang out, don't hesitate to reach me. I'm here for today and for tomorrow. And please scan the QR code if you find it helpful, if you want to give me any feedback. So thank you, everyone.
And we also have some time for questions, if you have them for Marco. Can we have the microphone over here, please?
First of all, thank you for your presentation. I know a little bit Ansible. What about the dynamic part of Ansible? So you said you can reuse it, it's there, just execute it. But what about the parameterization? So can I use also parameterization in Ansible, how it works? Are there any alternatives to, for example, the environment that we use in Docker and so on? Thank you.
Well, yeah, thank you for the question. What I would say is that, as I was mentioning before, we can define variables. So for sure, you can use some .files, some .env, for example, that out of the box, you can say, okay, I want to use, in this case, this file. And the file, I mean, not only the YAML file, but also the all variables that you're going to need. So for example, it's possible using Ansible to have something that, there are some kind of security checks on having strings, on working on Ansible, but that are hidden in Git, for example. In this way, you can easily deploy everything and having the backup on Git without exposing passwords or other things. So the short answer is, yes, we can use variables, and we can use actually files which have the whole configuration, the whole variables that Ansible is gonna use. Does it answer? Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Hi. Can you revert back the changes made by Ansible when you run the your YAML script? If, I mean, you want to maybe install the packages and then you want to uninstall them, can you do that, like, for example, like Terraform, some other like infrastructure as code solutions?
This is a good question. To be honest, I didn't check it, so I'm not sure about the answer. Sorry for that.
Okay, don't worry. Never mind.
We can discuss it later.
Yeah, for sure.
We have time for one more question if you have it. If you don't, I'm not a developer, so maybe you can share a couple of more examples of how you actually use Ansible in your day-to-day coding.
Yeah, as I was saying, the main use case, in my case at least, is my personal files. So it happened a lot of time that using, in particular Linux, I'm a distro hopper. So it happens a lot of times that I need to have the same configuration again because I bought a new laptop or I reinstalled a new fancy distro that I want to test. So that is my main use case. Another one that I was mentioning during the presentation is that I'm trying to do the migration of an actual virtual private server that I have. So I already have a server somewhere, which I already have all the configuration, well, I mean, all the packages and all the programs that I use. The problem is that since I didn't use Ansible at the beginning, now that I'm trying to migrate to a new host, which is actually better, it's difficult because I don't even remember in 6 years what I have done. So the use case is have a backup which works somewhere and be sure that I can reapply each modification next time.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Thank you.